What's going on, guys? My name's Sam and welcome to Prep Medic. In this week's video, we are reviewing a new product from an old company. Today, we are looking at the Ranger kit from Active Carry Technologies. Quick disclaimer before we get started, guys. I want to make it absolutely clear that although this kit was sent to me for free, I'm under no obligation to say anything nice or kind about it. Every opinion that I express on this site is my honest opinion about these kits. My whole goal with reviewing these things is to give you guys options when you're shopping for your medical gear, because I know there's a lot of stuff out there, and the more I can bring into this channel, the better. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, so today we are reviewing a new kit from an old company on this channel. This is the Ranger from Active Carry Technologies, and this is an absolutely massive first aid kit that they just came out with. So today we're going to start with the bag itself. We're going to move into the contents, and we're going to talk through all the supplies it has, and then we're going to talk about things that I would modify in this kit if I were to carry it on a daily basis. All right, guys, so moving into the bag itself, I believe this is the Condor Ripaway EMT pouch. Now, people have kind of split opinions about Condor. They're known for making kind of mid-grade nylon gear. I tend to prefer American-made products, although my old SWAT team did use this exact pack, except in its smaller form, for their issued IFAKs, and they seem to hold up okay. The one thing you will notice on these is that there's some stitching that's kind of coming out. I don't think this is going to disintegrate on you, but it's not quite to the quality of some of the American-made packs. This does have a lot of really cool features that I think make this ideal for, say, a car kit or maybe a kit on your backpack. I do think this is a little bit too big to be stored on, say, your battle belt or on a plate carrier. Now, those cool features I was talking about are what make this the Ripaway pouch. So you'll notice on the back it's got a MOLLE panel. You can mount this to, say, in my car, I've got the MOLLE panel on the back of the seat. You can mount this directly to it. And then if you need the kit, you can actually just pull the kit free and it will come completely off the backing. And when you're done with it, you can just stick it back up there. On the front, you're going to notice it's got 3 rows of MOLLE webbing. You can throw, a pen or scissors, something in there. It does have the hook loop field that's pretty standard on this kind of bag. With this kit, I believe you'll get an American flag and an ACT badge as well. The kit is clamshell opening, which is really nice, and it's different than a lot of their other products because you can actually get into the bag and see all its contents laid out in front of you, as opposed to kind of trying to dig through it from the top. So I really do like that. As we open it up, it's a 3-tiered system. So this is really cool. This holds a ton of stuff. And I'm basically going to start at the top here and work my way down. So in this top pocket, at the far back, we've got a couple different things. So the first thing you're going to see is a tactical burn dressing. Now, I kind of addressed these in an earlier video. I'm not super big into like gel burn dressings, anything like this. I think this will work well for your 1st-degree burns, your minor 2nd-degree burns, because it will cut down on some of the pain when you apply it. But any burn that's going to have to require hospitalization, I would say go with a dry, sterile dressing and wrap it with that, because it's just one less thing that has to be decontaminated when they get to the burn unit. And the science on like these water gels and stuff is iffy for major burns. So this would be great for your 1st and minor 2nd-degree burns. Continuing on the top, we've got Hyphen chest seals. This is a twin pack. Now, I would probably take this out of this bag just for easier access. I find the wrapping on these protects these pretty well. And it does come with 2, and these are both vented, so I really do like that. We have an H&H compression bandage. These things are excellent. You need at least one in every kit, and we're going to see that there is some redundancy throughout this pack with these compression bandages. All right, finally in the back, you have a pair of EMT shears, and these are actually pretty nice. They're somewhere in between your expensive X shears or Raptors and your $5 shears. So they're not quite as high quality as like your Raptors, but these will hold an edge a little bit longer than your cheaper ones. And one of the really nice features is it's got this carabiner section here. So when you're done using them, instead of like throwing them on the ground and losing them, you can like clip this to a belt loop and move from there. This next row, you've got a couple things. One of the really nice things that they've included in almost all their kits are these emergency blankets. These things are super important in trauma, especially in wilderness medicine, which I think this kit is kind of geared for, because hypothermia makes everything worse in trauma, and trauma makes hypothermia more prevalent. So you really need an emergency blanket that has some reflection on it. Keep in mind that this is super thin to save space in this pack, so I would make sure your patient is well insulated before using this. Finally, in this pocket, we have a SWAT tee. Now, I like SWAT tees. I use them in a lot of different things, including my pocket trauma kit. However, these are not Committee for Tactical Combat Casualty Care approved, and I really wish that Active Carry Technologies, with this bigger pack, this bigger form factor, had thrown in a CAT tourniquet. You know, I think one fits pretty well down here, and I think that's one of the big things that I would change with this kit. I'd still keep the SWAT tee in it because it is such a versatile tool. You can use it for, say, a compression bandage, a backup tourniquet, a sling and a swath. It just has a lot of different functions, but I would have this as a redundancy, not as the primary tourniquet in the pack. Coming down to this row, one of the unique features of this kit, and one of the things that I think justifies its price point, is it has a lot of these extra things in it. So this has a Petzl headlamp in it, which is super nice. You know, if it's dark outside, you're at a camp, you need to be able to see who's hurt to really treat them effectively. So that's where a headlamp comes in handy. This is also great for your everyday situations. So say your tire blew on the side of the road and you need something to see to change the tire. I think that's where the headlamp comes in. Really nice to have in a kit, and it's something that's not really seen in a lot of trauma kits that are marketed today. Next to that, we've got a roll of duct tape. I do not need to explain duct tape to you guys. This stuff can be used for anything and everything, including some improvised medical uses. So it's got a nice little roll of duct tape in there. We've got a bullet of saline, so this is great for rinsing eyes, rinsing wounds, good for your wilderness medicine. Got a Sharpie, once again, do not need to explain that, so many uses. And then finally, we have one pair of gloves. There is another pair of gloves later in this kit that I'll show you. But these are Desert Tan, which is super nice because if you're doing your blood sweeps, you can actually see the blood if it gets on your hands. All right, coming to the second row, you've got another set of PPE. So you've got these glasses, and I'll probably take those out of the case. And these are just safety glasses, nothing super special about them, but you know, in your massive hemorrhage and you know, some of the like maintenance things we were talking about that this will help you fix, glasses are super important. I would argue that your chance of a bloodborne pathogen exposure is greater through the eye than it is through your intact skin on your hands if you didn't have gloves. So these are super important and often overlooked. In this top compartment, this is just a self-adhering elastic bandage. I think this is super great to have in a wilderness kit because you can use it to wrap an ankle if you have to walk somebody out. You do not necessarily want to be waiting for rescuers, so if you can wrap somebody's sprained ankle really tight and walk them out, this is a great option for you. All right, and then back here in this pocket, we have another compression bandage. You know, it's very similar to the other one. This just has some different dimensions to it. This one's a little bit thicker there. Now, I would say if I was to modify this kit a little bit, I would probably remove this because you'll see there's even a third compression dressing, which I think is a little bit too much redundancy. I would probably take this guy and put it into the kit right here, and then I would take my CAT tourniquet and put it right where that was. And that's the big modification I think I'd make to this. I just think it fits a little bit better. And then for what I'm using it for, I probably wouldn't use all three of these. Coming down, we've got two quick clots. Now, I'm not a super big fan of these ones in particular. Hemostatic agents are fine. These ones are about 4 feet long, so you can use them to pack a wound effectively. So I would get like your combat gauze, which has been studied a little bit more and has been shown to be more effective. You could also use Celox gauze as well to put in there. That's just one modification I'd make as well. All right, and then finally in this pocket, right underneath those, you just have your Z-Pack dressing. So this is just non-hemostatic dressing. You can use it to pack wounds, wrap wounds, whatever you need. Super important, super glad it's included with this kit, even though you do have 2 other options for wound packing in it. All right, so you're finally, your last compartment here, and this has some of your like smaller things in it. In here, we've got the ouch pouch, which you guys know I love these things because these are what you're gonna be using all the time. This has your antidiarrheals, your ibuprofen, your diphenhydramine, Band-Aids, some nosebleed stoppers. It's got a set of tweezers and a X-Acto knife, and then some like anti-itch cream and burn cream, some alcohol swabs. Just a ton of stuff that you're gonna use a lot of, and I really like that it's included in this kit. I think it makes all the difference, especially in something that's made to be used more like in the wilderness environment. All right, in here we've got the second set of gloves. We've got a nasal pharyngeal airway to help open somebody's airway if they're unresponsive. And then finally, you got 2 other things in here, if I can get them out. You've got a compact pressure dressing. And if I didn't make it clear, compression dressings or pressure dressings are great if you've packed a wound. You can wrap it really tight with that. Or otherwise, if you have like a cut on the arm that's severe, but not severe enough to warrant a tourniquet, you can use one of these to kind of stem that blood flow. So these are super important. I just don't think I'd be using 3 in my kit. I'd probably keep this one and the red one, and then replace this guy and put a cat tourniquet there instead. And finally, the final piece of this kit is these steri strips. So these are wound closure strips. They basically take the place of sutures. They're not as good, but in a pinch, they'll work quite well. I've used them lots of times and think they're well worth the money for them. One other thing in this kit that was not sent is an N95 respirator. So that's for your infectious patients. It will help filter some of that air. And like I said, with like the headlamp and the goggles, like even changing a tire or being in a dusty environment, that's helpful for you. Because there's so much in here, this kit is relatively expensive. It comes in at about $180. You can use a coupon code to bring that down a little bit closer to, I think, $150, and that's like right on his webpage, right in there. So, you have to kind of judge, is it worth that to you? Yes, people bring up all the time, you can build kits for probably cheaper than you can buy them pre-made. However, these have a lot of things in them that you would have to piece together, and it saves you a lot of time and effort. So it's kind of your choice how you want to go about things, if you want to buy a pre-made one or if you want to make one yourself. I personally have always been somebody that's bought my own. Now I'm kind of accumulating enough supplies, I've been building them, but when I first started out, just the convenience of buying them all together was worth it to me. All right, guys, so final thoughts on the kit. Overall, I think this offers a lot of functionality that not a lot of kits on the market do. I really like the fact that it has a headlamp, duct tape, eyeglasses, a boo-boo kit included in it. There are just 3 major things that I would change on this kit if I was carrying this on a day-to-day basis. Number 1, I would make sure that there's a cat tourniquet or one of the COTCCC recommended tourniquets in it. And that's just because the SWAT T is not great for self-application. So I would make sure one of those is in there. The second thing that kind of goes along with that is I would probably replace the quick clot that's in there with one of their approved quick clots, so such as Combat Gauze, which is made by Quick Clot, or the Celox gauze, which is also recommended. And then the third thing and final thing is I'd probably just remove one of the 3 compression bandages in there, because with the 3 that are in there, plus the SWAT T, which can double as a compression bandage, I think that's a little bit redundant. So I'd just save some space there. Otherwise, I am fully planning on putting this in my car on my Molly panel because I think that's a great place for this. It's a little bit big to be on a backpack, but also, that's all depending on what your gear is and how you carry things. So like I said, I think all in all, this is a great kit, just a couple small changes, and you have something that I'm really excited to carry. One more thing before we go, guys. If you guys like the artwork on my YouTube, so my profile picture, my banner, and pretty much anything labeled Prep Medic that I have, go check out my friend Emma. She's a graphic designer based out of Kansas City. She's trying to do a lot more freelance work, so I'll leave a link to her website down below if you're interested in getting a logo designed or some piece of artwork done. Make sure you give her a follow. She'll do revisions for you and make sure it's exactly what you want. Other than that, guys, you know, as always, I'm super excited for where this channel's going. I've got so much support from you. You know, right now the next stop is a play button, which I'm super stoked about. So I will see you guys next week.